Pear Deck is a presentation tool that allows you to embed formative assessment questions into a teacher-led lesson. You can assess student mastery and make a read-aloud interactive. I have taken a Reading A to Z book and put a page of the book on each slide. To do this, I used the snipping tool and made each page an image. Then I added questions on some of the pages. Now, when we do our read-aloud, my students can answer questions as we go. In this other tab, I have a session that's ready to go. Let me bring up a student window. So I'm going to enter in this code, and then it's going to start my student session. When all of my students are in, I can hit the forward button and it will start the presentation. Now, this first page, there weren't any questions that I added, so the student view, which is over here on the bottom, looks the same as the teacher view, which I'll project on the board. So when I'm doing a read aloud, this view will be what my students see on the board, and this view will be what my students see on their computers. This is the first page that has a question. So you'll notice on this page, the student view down here at the right looks different than the teacher view, which would be seen up on the board. Now, the question for this is, what does a retelling mean? As the student, I can come over here and answer the question, and the student can submit their answer. Now, from the teacher view, I can come down here, and I can lock student responses. I can also show student responses if we want to engage in some sort of a discussion about the question. All of the responses would show up in this list, and then we could discuss them. Okay, I'm going to hide the student responses again so that we can go back to reading the story. This page again doesn't have any questions on it, so the student view and the teacher view look the same. This page has a multiple choice question, so my students can answer by filling in a bubble. Now, there are two main types of questions on Pear Deck, a short answer and a multiple choice, so you can use either of those. Now, as I get toward the end of the book, I can start asking questions that might be more broad questions about the whole book. I can also add slides at the end for additional questions, or as a part of a reflection for when my students come back together at the end of the lesson. Another type of slide that I can add is a YouTube video. So if I find a video that has a related theme, I can add the video to the end and use that as a discussion point with my students. Another slide option is to embed a website. So in this particular example, I embedded a website, so maybe I want my students to do some activity when they're done with the presentation. This would be an excellent transition into that because I've already linked them to where I want them to go. So that's a couple of the things that Pear Deck can do, including the ability to insert Reading A to Z texts and possibly other texts into a presentation that you can use for read-alouds in your class.